Can you talk a little bit about locomotion and why that is fitness?
Right. So there's a couple of ways to describe it, and the first way is like when we work out, what we're trying to achieve is the best possible overall gains. We're trying to get the best gains in overall performance, right? Like and one of the problems with exercise a lot of times, and I realized this long ago, especially as a special ops guy, et cetera, is that exercise, it whatever it is that you do, you only get good at that thing. Like maybe you're lifting weights and you're getting stronger in the gym, but in a lot of other ways, you're getting less athletic. And that tends to be a problem with a lot of different things. So I was really trying to figure out like what is it that we actually need, right? So that we can specifically focus on it and get the most benefit out of our training, out of our energy. And what I finally realized is the common denominator for all activities is locomotion. And you have and then I think a really good example of the importance of locomotion can be seen in how infants and children learn to move, right? Like it's all about locomotion. They begin in a backline position, right? And then they begin to basically, the first thing they really learn is to stabilize their head, which is spinal stabilization. Once they can stabilize their head, they start doing arm and leg movements, right? So basically hip and joint movements start to develop. And that's the simplest form of locomotion. That's basically single joint locomotion. So when I move my arm from one point to another point, that's a form of locomotion. It's simple though, right? And then we start to combine those different hip and shoulder movements until eventually what do we have? We have a weight shift to one side or the other. And that's the first example of rolling. And basically now you have locomotion that involves your entire body moving. And then let's say eventually you get to a frontline position, and just through random combinations, you eventually learn to build up to a crawling position. And now you have, again, a slightly more complex locomotion where you then learn to crawl. You then learn to build up. You learn to basically weight shift and take your first step so that you end up in a single kneeling position. And then you eventually build up to a standing position. So the things that the athletic ability that we develop first in life is basically spinal stabilization, single joint movements, and then we learn the developmental movements, which is how to transition between lying, kneeling, and standing positions. And that's really where the foundation of athletic ability is developed. You need spinal stabilization, and you have basically control of weight shifting. So then when you learn to walk or run or sprint, you have rhythmic side-to-side weight shifting through coordinated hip and shoulder movement and a little bit of rotation around the spine. And that's something that you use everywhere. Think about it, like when you throw a punch or if you throw a ball, you have a lateral weight shift with coordinated hip and shoulder movement and rotation around the spine. And the examples of that are endless. So really, like if I'm trying to get you the best possible results in overall improvements of performance with the least amount of energy, it makes sense for me to design my exercise programs so that you improve the skills needed for locomotion.